Testing the microphone. Seems to be okay. All right. What's up, everyone? Let me just adjust my head strap. Gerardo, what's up? Monkey Madness, how's it going? We're just experimenting today with some streaming on YouTube. Never done this before. So we're gonna see how it goes, tell some stories, and maybe answer any questions that you guys might have. What's up? Priyesh? Aiden? How's it going? Coming to you live from the basement, now sponsored by the light. Oh, maybe it's... Hello? It shouldn't be coming from this. I just want to make sure that everything is working correctly. Although I do have these plugged in. Maybe I'll just unplug this. My voice should be coming from here. Is that correct? I just had these on for the thumbnail for the stories. Are you guys familiar with this at all? This book? Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark? I think there's more than one of them. Scary Stories for Stormy Nights. Your childhood. I know. This face right here, the face of this, I'll never forget that face. You've read the book. You mean like all the stories in the book? Oh, Goosebumps? Revenge of the Lawn Gnomes. See these guys? They mean business. RL stuff. It's a lot of firsts for me today on all of this. Seems to be doing okay so far. At least just for recording my face. Oh no, I just was commenting on that it wasn't lagging. It's not working, and now it's back. Okay. Not sure what that was all about. Maybe we should just... What's up? Fixable by me somehow, but I'm not sure. There's a lot of buttons that I don't know what they do. Let's just hope. Rework. It's gone. As in the lag or the stream. Hopefully I'm fine. A good scary story to tell in the dark. One of these just by the picture. This... Oh, it's a chapter. This chapter is filled with... Your connection is unstable. Oh, it's even so. Okay. Let me I have one more thing that I could try to do. So I'm gonna try to do that, I guess. I guess I'll have to end the stream. But I don't really know what else could be it came back. It also could be that syndrome that internet connections have sometimes where it's just like your day where it crap or more, sometimes longer, but there's an obvious correlation between me streaming and the lag though, so I just don't want to rule out any other causes. So we're gonna hang out for just a little bit longer, or at least I am. You don't have to. And then if it keeps messing around, you know, we'll restart it and figure something out. If you've got patience, you know, and time to kill, we'll be hanging out today. All right, so we saw the big toe. Kind of intrigues me. If any of these stories sound particularly interesting to any of you, we can read one. This one called The Walk. Doesn't have a very interesting picture. Oh my gosh, yes, this picture. If you've ever before, tell me that picture just doesn't just stick out in your mind. Do you remember this? Where he was? All right, it's just one page, so we should probably read it. It's called What Do You Come For? There's an old woman who lived all by herself, and she was very lonely. Sitting in the kitchen one night, she said, had some company. Spoken, then down the chimney tumbled Santa Claus. Just kidding. 2 feet, from which the flesh had rotted. The old woman's eyes bulged with terror. Then 2 legs dropped to the hearth and attached themselves to the feet. Then a body tumbled down. Then 2 arms and a man's head. As the woman watched, the parts came together into a great, gangling man. The man danced around and around the room. Faster and faster he went. Then he stopped, and he looked into her eyes. "What do you come for?" she asked, in a small voice that shivered and shook. "What do I come for?" he said. "I come for you." As you shout the last words, stamp your foot and jump at someone nearby. Ah! That's literally what it says in the print line. So, really, Alvin Schwartz. See, it says Alvin Schwartz, and then it says drawings by Stephen Gamble. And I think that maybe deserves to have written in red, and big and scary, because I think Alvin's are maybe a bit mediocre, but perhaps we're just jumping to conclusions because, you know, haven't read out the stories. But it's not yelling at me anymore. It's not showing me that yellow bar. So maybe we dodged it. I don't even know if I'm in the right place to be viewing this. So unprepared, but you guys are used to that by now. This is a test. Well, I didn't put test in the title. I just where I need to be in order to possibly maybe be able to test. It's cutting in and out a bit still. Okay. I don't know if we could detach it from this and move it without detaching the microphone, which might.
Can I grab it?
Oh, like grab the whole thing, like the whole stand.
Yeah.
That would be. And then I also have to keep in mind that at this point, whoa, hey, hold on, let me eject this hard drive and get super light over here. All right, if it was cutting in and out before, you guys,
We're moving.
it's definitely gonna be rocky now. You're like my sound guy. All right, come on, sound guy. Oh, all right, that's you're gonna be charged for that. All right, let's go this way. All right, here we go. Up the stairs. Want to say hi, bro? Doesn't like his face on the camera. Oh, he wants to get baby Brody.
Got the mic.
Say hi, Brody. Hi. Brody will be coming with us on the. This is hilarious. Look at Lisa with the sound equipment. All right, it's kind of dark down here. Let's head upstairs, closer to the router, and maybe. This is great. I was never able to do this with live streaming. Okay, so now we can maybe just come here. Oh yeah. Just on the counter would be nice. All right. The video quality got better. Oh yeah. Setting up the microphone. Did it work, really? It's hilarious. Whoa! Okay.
Got a bit aggressive.
It's now on the opposite side. It's a lot smoother. No way. That's hilarious. We figured it out. What is this? Yeah, thank you. I'll be back down for the scary storybooks. Oh, let's move this mic back over here. Thanks for carrying my microphone up the stairs. True friend. D. Hardo coming at us from Mexico. What's up, D. Hardo? Greetings. D. Hardo, if I drive our van to Mexico, will you show us some cool spots to hang out? It's been a thought that's gone through our mind. I'm gonna like rotate to this chair over here. All right. By the window a little bit. It's not, the webcam's not like, it's getting too much of the window, I think. Maybe I'll put these blinds over. That don't seem too much. Hold on. That seems to be the key. Don't mind me while actually I was gonna check this. This message is held for review. You still get in contact with Kid Laser? Show hi. Oh, interesting. Yes, I do get in contact with Kid Laser. Although I haven't seen him in probably at least a couple months at this point. But yeah, no, he's doing real well. He actually has a podcast that he's doing with one of his friends that he went to college with. I'm gonna just move this down that way a bit. Okay. All right. Sweet. Thank you. Scary stories to tell in a well-lit room. Okay. And the quality got better. I would assume it stayed that way. Now the exposure's good enough. We'll play a scary movie on that TV too, so it'll be like double screen. I am still friends with Kid Laser. Yes, we did not have a breaking up or anything. Sorry, now I can read the chat a bit more. You'll be heavily searched at the border on your way back in that van. Yeah, probably Paulina, but that's okay. As long as they don't try and take Brody, I think we'll be okay. You started watching me when you were 14 and you're 22 now? Yeah, it's crazy, man. I started making videos when I was a lot younger, and now I'm a lot older too. A lot of time has passed. 8 years. Wow. Crazy. Crazy, man. It's just so new. YouTube and everything was so new when it came up, so I didn't imagine or even try to imagine what my life would have been like, even 2 or 3 years after I started YouTube, because it's just no one had really walked down that. Hey, what are you barking at? Hey, we're streaming. Hold on. Don't you bark. Don't you bark. It's the Three Musketeers heading out. She's the matriarch of the household. She likes to she likes to talk a lot, but that's how she protects that's how she protects us, so that's okay. I'll use this as a bookmark for now for this scary storybook, because there are some questions now, so might have to grab a water in a short while, but let me address the lighting. Is the lighting better? How do you know Lisa? Why is she brave enough to go on this journey with you? That's a good question. Oh wow, and she just brought me a water. Thanks, Lisa. Lisa and I have known each other since 6th grade. Kind of. We went to middle, I started going to middle school with her. So that's when we first started hanging out, I guess. Not really. It wasn't until high school that we started hanging out. Probably last couple years of high school is when we really became best friends, I would say. And then she went to college at a different university, so we had some time apart. And then even after college, we kind of took some time. I don't know. I don't even know if I planned on ever reconvening with Lisa, but I guess that's how I was with all the people that I went to high school with. Although I cared about all of them, I wasn't expecting to be able to just rekindle any sort of relationship after you go through an experience like college and then entering into the workforce or the real world and developing that way as a person. It can be hard to sort of come back to anybody. So but we started hanging out, and it was just kind of like old times, best friends again. The reason that I consider her my best friend, and that I did all the time back in high school, to the point where I never even considered dating her or anything, was just because she allows me to kind of be myself. I can be myself more with her than I can with anybody else. So to have that sort of a person with you really motivates and encourages you just kind of pursuing the things that you really want to pursue in life. So I acknowledge and can definitely appreciate that Lisa gives that to me, and it's from talking to her, it sounds like it's probably mutual, because we're embarking on this journey together, getting ready to re-embark after we get the van back tomorrow. So that'll be good. But yeah, so we've been going through, I guess, a lot of the same things in our lives, whether that was just from going to the same schools and taking the same classes, being around the same people with the same teachers. That's one thing, but I think that everyone kind of goes through that. It's just we're both willing to put our neck out there and try new things. So that's kind of, if you're gonna go and do this with another person, it's got to be someone who's like that, at least oriented in that way. So that's a little bit of history between Lisa and I. Also, since we're talking about Lisa, there's something that I wanted to bring everyone's attention to. I'm gonna see if I can just link it in the chat, just the video. Oh, wait. It's okay. It's not that relevant. It'll kind of break up the flow of the stream here. Oh shit, she's pregnant. No, she's not. Oh, show. Some comments are held for me, and I have to accept or deny them. What helped you decide to reconnect with us? Well, Lisa definitely helped me decide to reconnect with you. Not in a direct way. It's not like we had a conversation and she was like, "Hey, you should start up your YouTube." But it was more of just I guess when I quit YouTube, and probably even a couple years before I quit YouTube, there was a different approach in kind of the way that I viewed it, and I started to I just started to get really just bogged down with a lot of other things, like I was talking about, like this whole like real world transition. I started YouTube when I first entered college, and I was playing a lot of video games. I was able to kind of just sort of like coast through my beginning college courses. They were kind of just like high school courses to me, and I always did really well in all those courses in high school and stuff like that. So I guess it was just sort of, hold on one second. Oh, sorry guys. Nice door. I know. All right. This is what you get. This is what you get when it happens live. But anyways, hope that truck's not too loud. But where were we? As far as like just starting YouTube when I was in college and when I had a lot more free time, and then I didn't think I had as much free time because I felt obligated to do a lot of other things that life and the momentum of life was kind of telling me that I needed to do. There's this whole routine that you have, and I think it's very easy to get in the routine when you start. Like you go into elementary school and you're like, oh, once I get into middle school, life will be so much better. And then you get to middle school and you're like, man, once I get into high school, and so it's just like this continual sort of college, and then after college, get like a nice paying job, get a family, get some, get a wife, get some kids, and like there's just these steps that you can sort of like unquestionably fall into this sort of momentum. And sorry, is the microphone okay? I saw someone mention something about the microphone. Getting distracted. But anyways, I was getting caught up in that momentum without even questioning. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I'm not saying that that's not something that people should do. And it's probably the right idea for a lot of people out there. But I think it's important to just be able to question it for yourself. And if you never have that independent thought or that break that sort of is like, oh, maybe there is an option to kind of go and do something else. And so for me, to get back to the original question, Lisa kind of showed me that I didn't have to sort of follow this thing, and that I could kind of I could make life what I wanted to make it. And that sounds like really cheesy and dumb and obvious, but I guess really YouTube, up to a certain point, I guess I started listening to people really, like my parents and not my parents, but like people my parents' age, when we would hang out at like family gatherings and stuff. They'd be like, okay, well, you know, this is cool and everything, but what are you going to do? Like, what are you going to do after YouTube? Or, you know, what are you going to, like, what's your career that you're going to try and assemble for yourself? And it always had this, like preconceived notion of, like an underlying thing of like, you know, how much money are you going to like eventually be able to make, because you know, to afford all these things that you think you need. And maybe I'm overanalyzing and like tangentially speaking a lot here, but I guess what I'm just trying to say is, I'm now willing to put some of those things aside in order to pursue what I believe to be a more meaningful life, by just, you know, sacrificing a bit of, you know, I mean, we both saved up some money, but then quit our jobs, and you know, that's a sacrifice, I guess. That's, you know, you're sacrificing the consistent income in order to, you know, have a little bit less strings controlling, you know, what you do day to day. And so yeah, we're just gonna go and see where that takes us. But I think that's in a roundabout way why I kind of decided to reconnect with you guys, because this is when I was making videos, like when I first started making videos on YouTube, that was just me doing what I wanted to do. I never started YouTube with the intention of making anything out of it. Like no one was making money off of YouTube when I started YouTube, or no one was making money off of like posting video game videos. I was just some kid who was like, that looks nerdy and cool and I want to do it. And I convinced my dad to go halfway with me on the recording software, and that was that. But like just posting the video and creating the video, really like creating the video is where my joy came from. And then I think once it started to get traction and like the attention that it did, I felt kind of held to some expectations in a way, and it almost subconsciously made me like slip from making videos about things that I was passionate about to making videos that I knew other people were passionate about. And that was, it was hard because I really love to make people happy, and I don't like to make people like mad unnecessarily. That's not like my personality at all. So, but I just have to, you know, I had to kind of go through that, I guess, in order to realize what's most important to me, which is making videos that I enjoy making. And I also think that there are still people out there, maybe not everybody who would enjoy like a Call of Duty video, but there are still people out there who will enjoy those videos too. So that's kind of how I come to terms with that. Oh, we got another potentially flaggable comment here. I'll just accept it and then read it. Dude, WTF, MisterFantasmo. I used to watch as a kid, man. I'm fucking 21. Let's get a beer. Nice. I remember when I was 21, and that was like my go-to thing. I was like, 21, let's get a beer now. I can say that, and it's legal. Although I don't think I really had my first beer until it might not have been 21. It might have been 20, but it's pretty late. So, but yeah, dude, Mark, where you at? Where you at, man? I'm already gonna go see my man D Hardo in Mexico later. So maybe we'll hook up, grab a brewski. Haven't had a beer in a while though, so it'll probably just be one for this guy. Monkey Madness, why'd you decide to post stuff after all these years, and is there any reason you left in particular? I kind of answered the first question, I would assume, in the and what helped you decide to reconnect with us. But is there any reason you left in particular? I would say there were some things that happened in my personal life that made me kind of cut ties like completely, I guess, as far as like no Twitch streaming, no casual uploads or anything like that. But really, like I said, it was like a couple years before I stopped making videos that I really think that the sort of at least for the most part, I feel like looking back on it, the meaning behind what I was doing kind of started to fade out, and I think that it was only a matter of time before I realized that. And I don't think there was any like one singular breaking point as far as how I felt about the channel. It was more just like my grasp on it slowly started to weaken, and then some things in my personal life, like I said, came in and just kind of snapped it. So but it's good to be back. What's up, Frosty? The microphone stream. That's what we'll call it. We also got stories, so with a bookmark where we left off. Not enough sauce. Turning 21 in 2 weeks. Oh man, we got a club starting over here. Thank you, Hurricane. I am alive and well. I hope you are the same. You're in good old Texas. Dag, Mark. We're going to be visiting some friends in Texas. We were going to go like very soon, like once we get the van back tomorrow, we were going to head that way, but we're thinking it's kind of too hot now. We might actually head up towards Maine and then wrap around Michigan over the next couple months, and then head back down to Texas once it gets a little chillier. So I think most of us who subscribed back then did so partly for the hype from those COD and great gameplay, but stayed for your humor and personality. Thank you. Yeah, Call of Duty was definitely a nice boost to gain attention. Like all you have to do is make a Call of Duty video, and then you're inevitably going to get people that are just coming for the Call of Duty. But like I said, it was really, especially once I started talking about it and making videos, it was never really ultimately about the gameplay. It was like, what can I do with this gameplay to make it more than just gameplay? I stayed almost entirely because of Andre's lack of skill and Only Use Me Blade fanboying. Yes, I did a lot of Only Use Me Blade fanboying. He was my main inspiration for doing YouTube. I saw his videos and I was like, oh, cool. I want to do that. Janky Jenga streams will forever hold a special place in my heart. Yes. Yes. Those were some fun times for sure. Come to Oregon. We'll be in Oregon. We're going to get out west. Like that's what we were going to do, is we were going to, I have to be back in Ohio, which is where we're at, where I'm from, where Lisa and I went to middle school and high school together. Sorry if I'm itching my beard a lot. I have a bad habit of that. It's probably annoying to look at. Anyways, so we're in Ohio, and I have to be back in Ohio on August 25th, I believe. So like 2.5 months for my sister's wedding, because I'm marrying my sister. Not like, actually, I'm not like getting married to my sister. Do you think that was funny? I'm like doing the thing where you stand up there and you're like, and I'm gonna write like some inspiring words that I'm really fretting over right now and all that stuff. So that's gonna happen in like 2.5 months. And long story short, we thought we were going to be able to leave with the van like much longer ago. Like, it's just hard because with the van you have these timelines like, oh, we're going to be able to, everything's going to be done by this time. And then it just continually gets pushed out. So like 6 months ago, we were thinking, oh, maybe we can just go now, but it's kind of been a whole process. So now that we're here and we don't have, like 6 months to go out on the road and go out west, and like 6 or 7 or 8 months to kind of travel through all that. And we have to be back here in a couple months. We're thinking about, instead of going out west now, just to go kind of up around Maine and then wrap around to Michigan, because Lisa's family is renting a house by the lake in Michigan, and we're gonna go do that like right before the wedding, right? Like a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So So yeah, that's the plan is to eventually get out to Oregon, but heading up to Michigan this weekend if all goes well. My favorite state besides good old Illinois. Oh, nice. Yeah, Michigan's beautiful. Coming from Ohio, there's like a rivalry there with the football. It's like, or just with anything. Maybe it's like, oh, go Bucks! Michigan sucks. I've been hearing that since a child, so it predisposed me to just kind of discount the place entirely. But yeah. Yeah, Dr. Disrespect, he's a cool guy. I have not played Pub Battlegrounds, Pub Player Unknown. What is it? I'm not sure, but I've seen my cousin play it a lot. It looks cool. I like the fact that it's free to play and all that jazz. It seems like something that back in my Call of Duty prime I'd be very interested in. But this in and of itself is crazy that I'm able to stream right now because I'm not even going to be able to do this in a few days, most likely. So I just don't have the internet connection or the time, really. It's weird how when you can, like when we're out on the road in the van and we're just, it's hard to it's one of those things that's hard to explain just sitting here and with words, and that's why we try to do it with pictures and stuff so much.
All right, cool. Well, thank you, Tammy. The van's done.
The van's done?
The van's done.
Dang.
Yeah.
They were like, nothing else blew up on it?
Well, apparently there was an exhaust thing, and they're like, we fixed it for free.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. They fixed our exhaust for free. Can they make all the other things that they found free too, or no? No, that's still okay. Wow, that's awesome. So are we picking it up today?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Are you still on?
Yeah.
Oh.
You want to come say hi?
I was going to turn this fan on for you. But sure.
No, don't turn the fan on.
Don't.
That'll make noise.
Oh, I was going to turn it on low so it was...
So it cools me off?
Yeah.
No, that's streaming 101 is you're going to be hot when you stream, but it's going to be for the betterment of the audio. Thank you, though.
You're welcome.
That's exciting news, too. Will you consider reboot or continuation of the Call of Booty videos again? Reboot would be a better way to look at it, and it wouldn't be a reboot as in I'm never gonna make a video titled Call of Duty again with Call of Duty. I guess never say never, but I don't have any plans to do that. But as far as I think the main benefit of those videos, just given what I perceived of it, was there's this weird sort of like restrictive barrier that gets in between men and women of really all ages sometimes that that can prevent us from like expressing our true feelings for them. And I think what I was able to maybe show in the Call of Duty videos is how to kind of break through that a bit and to just see women and booty for what it is. It's just another person just like you, and as long as you treat them with respect, everything should work out. But that's obviously rash overgeneralization of what goes on in Call of Duty. So, but I guess to fully answer your question, it would probably be rebooted in something more along the lines of like the podcast that Lisa and I are trying out right now. Got the second episode of that we're going to upload to Patreon here soon. Paulina's in the chat. She can tell you how great it is. Also, there's a free clip on Patreon that you can go check out. And we might eventually, like, if we ever get to a podcast state where we think that, it's worth people's time, then we'll just upload it to YouTube somewhere. But right now, it's more just casual conversation similar to this. So if you're interested in that, throw $1 at us every month, and you can have the podcast. Come to Austin for ACL Music Festival in October. August, September, I think. Okay, so my sister's wedding's August 25th, and then after that, really, we're pretty much free. But I think we were gonna go visit Lisa's uncle, the one who let us borrow the drone, to not only bring him his drone back, but also he was gonna help us with the van. We have just this noise that from the solar panels. It's kind of like a whistling noise at like a certain speed and altitude that needs like we know what we want to do to fix it, but he can kind of help us fix that. So August 25th, the wedding. Then shortly after that, we go. I'm assuming we're going to go to Oklahoma from there, and then maybe we make it to Texas because we do want to go. We do want to come to Texas for sure. And the original route that we were thinking before everything changed was to go back down the East Coast, kind of like we did when we went to Florida, but then cut across Louisiana and all that fun stuff. If you come to Oregon, you can come and stream yourself trying to play all the new games. Oh yeah, there you go. I can use your setup. Sweet. That'd be awesome. Still mad not being a machinima director? No, I was definitely a machinima director, man. I think the results of that whole contest got construed a bit. I was a premiere director for machinima. I had access to their Twitter, but I never posted anything on it. I thought that was so weird. Once I became premiere director, they're like, "Oh, and here's all of our stuff for our Twitter, and you know, if you want to promote some of your videos, you can." I just thought it was weird because I already had my own Twitter, and I mean, I understood the logistics of it, but it was like using a warm toilet seat. I just would rather not. Will I be receiving my bowl of noodles in the mail this year? Peak Soul. I send them to you every year. I just think I think the address might be off, or maybe your local mail distributor is just keeping all the noodles because they are pretty delicious. You miss hearing my intro? You should check out my newest video then. Oh, there you go. Frosty knows. You're gonna shave and clean up for your sister's wedding? Clean up, yes. Although she said that she's ordering haircuts and not, I don't know if it was haircuts, but definitely like beard shape ups for all of the men. And I'm pretty sure I'm like the only one with like a crazy beard, so she was probably just saying she was going to do it for everyone just to be nice. But so yeah, I'll be getting trimmed up. My hair won't be so frizzy and fuzzy, and I'm also in charge of, like she said, I could wear whatever I wanted to wear. So I'm gonna find something, you know, modest, but not what your normal. I don't even know what I'm called. What is that? What is the position called that I am in this wedding? Lisa? What's that position called that who marries people? Ordained? A minister, right? You guys, you want to know when I became officially ordained to be a minister? Guess the date. Go ahead. Did you guess? April 1st. That was the day. When's the last time you cut your hair or shaved your beard? Well, my beard I definitely have to keep trimmed. It starts growing out of the sides. You probably know that from the epic beard back in the day if you were watching way back then. But I haven't cut my hair. We were looking actually, and it might have been the last time I got my haircut might have been when I streamed it. However long ago that was, like a few years ago at this point. I will say that I might be forgetting like a little trim up, maybe. Like my mom's a hairstylist, so maybe she like trimmed up the ends, the dead ends or whatever. But it's been a really long time with the hair, so it's getting pretty long down to the butt crack in the shower. Hey Phantasmo, you were literally the first YouTuber I subbed. Could you check the year I subscribed? It's been bothering me for a while. I can try. Let's see. Where would I go for that? Community, subscribers. Okay, here we go. All right, and can I search? Most recent, most popular. Wait, is this literally all the subscribers? Subscribed since. I don't know how to search in here, dude. Let's just go to most popular, but that's weird that you can search by most popular. Do you have any subscribers by any chance? Sorry, dude. I don't know if I can just like look it up. I'd love to give you that information. I'm a procurer of odd data myself. I lost my spot here, guys. Sorry. Yeah, there was one of those update videos that Sark. Oh yeah, all those guys. Dang, you make me feel weird reading these names. Yeah, me too. Seems like a whole different life. Since I'm from Sweden, I don't have the best sense of the different states. But is Ohio a nice state or just average? No. Ohio is one of the. It just depends. It depends the kind of person you are. It depends what you like. I'm also probably. I know. I was about to say I'm also probably harshly negatively biased towards it because I've been here my whole life, and I have the whole wanderlust thing going on right now. But I would say that Ohio, it's really the weather when it comes to the potential downsides that you could see in Ohio. It would be the weather and the lack of things to do. So Lisa and I were kind of talking about this the other day. Aside from like going to the mall or going to the movies, at least around us, so around the center, around like the metropolis of Ohio or Columbus or one of them. That's kind of what it is. Unless if you're willing to do some driving, there are like some cool parks and stuff, but it's also really flat. It's where it's where an iceberg just came and kind of laid everything out. So there's a certain beauty and aesthetic to like the limitless cornfields and like like the endless plains and stuff. But I've just seen it ever since I've been growing up, so I'm kind of over that whole thing, and that's why I'm anxious to get more out west. But if you come here, I would say 7 days out of 10 with someone who knows the area, you'll probably have an okay time. That's my honest opinion. Tabes, yeah, Tabes. No, this isn't what? I'm not speaking words. You were in the middle of listening to the podcast when I started streaming. That's funny. Yeah, Paul Harvey. We reminisce on some Paul Harvey in the podcast. It's it's crazy, man. Getting old is crazy because it feels like you've lived multiple lives. What about quantum relativistic superconductivity? Oh yeah, no, I do think that I have thoughts about that, but I'll just keep them to myself. Dude, I will give you a call when I get to Stockholm, okay? We'll get we'll do whatever it is you do there in the stock state. Yeah, dude. Warm toilet seats makes you feel like you're touching butts with other people. I think everybody thinks that. Sorry. Having a seizure while trying to read and scroll through these comments and respond to them at the same time. Do I see dreadlocks? No. Not dreadlocks, although some of these babies have some potential too. You see like how they just see how my hair is curly, but it like you could see how that has the potential to just mat into one another. Like these down here underneath, they just kind of clump together. I don't know if it's the curl that makes them like stand like that. But so no, not dreads, but I really don't want dreads, if I'm being honest. Some parts of it would be nice, like especially if I had them long enough where I could just, tie them up to the top of my head and not have to worry about forgetting a hair tie or busting my hair tie. That was the worst when I'd be at work and I'd be in the bathroom trying to, because my hair would be falling out. And it would be a hot day and I'd be like, all right, I gotta like really get this tight up there. That's why I wear this too, because I hate the little loose hairs on the side. It just bugs me, but I'm weird. Anyways, uh I would like, I'd be putting my hair up and then sometimes I'd try to do it so tight that the band would bust. And then, I'm not as prepared as someone who's had long hair since they were in kindergarten or something. So I don't have an extra hairband on me, and then I just have to let the mane come out. Get a bunch of sassy comments from everybody at work. The minister, the merrier. Dang, I'm so far behind on these comments. Why is the title of your new thing Looking for James? That's a great question, Monkey Madness. We actually kind of explained it a little bit in the video called We Found James, which I think is day, 13, if I'm guessing. But basically, there's this guy, and his name is James. A lot of people thought it was Jim, Kid Laser, but it was just a coincidence. This James in particular, we met when we did our first sort of voyage in the van when we went down to Florida, and he was in Florida by Siesta Beach, which we have a few videos over on Looking for James about that place. But he actually wasn't at the beach. He was at a Walmart that we stayed at. We stayed almost exclusively in Walmarts on this pilot trip because we had half the van done and we were just trying to not only get a sense of what it would be like, but also just to get out. It was December 31st and it was like, remember when I said Ohio has crappy weather? Well, most places I would say probably have some pretty crappy weather around December 31st if you're wanting to, be outside and do that kind of stuff. So we decided to just go down to Florida, and we didn't really plan out any sort of campsites or that's another reason we want to go out west is there's a lot of BLM land where we can kind of just camp, and there's a lot more places that we can be out in. But the one consistent thing that we knew was that most Walmarts will allow RVs and such to park overnight in their parking lots, which is kind of a good business decision, I would say, for them too, because we would wake up and then just buy our groceries at Walmart and then go and do our thing for the day, when if left to our own devices, we would have probably chosen a different store, but it was just so convenient. Anyways, so we're staying at all these Walmarts, and then we get down to Siesta, and we're loving Siesta. So we're no longer as mobile. We're not just like, we're not just like moving from one place to another, from one park to the next, just kind of traveling downwards. We kind of have ended up in a spot where we want to stay for a while. So we were sleeping in the Walmart parking lot. Probably, I don't know, this like my fact checker downstairs will probably overhear me and correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, but it might have been our first night that we stayed at Siesta, and we're in the Walmart parking lot, and we wake up, and we have these things that go over our windows. They kind of like block the sun from coming in, so nobody can see inside as well. So I took those down, letting all the light in, and I look over to the left, and I see a couple spots down. Like, I'm in the driver's seat basically, and I look over to the left and I see a couple parking spots down. There's just this guy in a van, but not a van like ours, like a more traditional sort of like retro van, like you almost expect to see wood paneling down the sides kind of thing. A very sort of classic van, kind of like that. I don't know. I'm not very good with car brands or models or whatever, but it was something along the lines of that. And I looked over and I almost had to take a double take because I wasn't sure if I really saw a person in there or There's a little small town around here that they just have, they don't have any police policing the town because it's just a very small area, but they just have a police car with like a dummy sort of sitting inside the car with a police hat, or maybe they just have the hat sitting on top of the seat with like a jacket on. But anyways, there's illusions that can happen with cars where it can look like people are in them. But then I gave a second glance and saw that there was someone in there, but then obviously didn't want to keep staring because I didn't want to make them uncomfortable. But I kind of got the impression just initially sort of looking at this guy that, I mean, yes, we live in our van, or we were planning to live in our van. James technically lives in his van too. But I don't really think that they're kind of, I was starting to get a sense that they weren't, that lifestyle didn't develop out of the same circumstances for the both of us. Lisa and I, we kind of chose to, by and large, we kind of chose this lifestyle. Like we've planned out a lot of things that have led us here. Not everything. And you got to roll with the punches with anything. But James definitely seemed like he had been punched more than us, you could say. And but he was still like, he never let it show. He never really let it show, aside from, again, all these just sort of like initial impressions that you get when you come in contact with someone, almost like you kind of sort of feel like you know things about them without them ever having to come and speak them with their word language. It's like their body language and just the whole whatever else is going on there. You can kind of sense something about that person. So I always got that sense in the stories that he would tell us and in the things that he would say and the things that he brought up and just his overall appearance. I got the sense that James had wound up living in his van due to circumstances that were probably largely out of his control. But I look over and I see all of this instantly. I just saw that when I looked over. No, but I saw him first, and when we were leaving that first day, or the first after the first night, we were coming back out to go to Siesta Beach, and we stopped and gave him some granola bars, I think, or I forget what it was, but we had some food, and I just offered it to him. He instantly started offering me other things. He actually offered me like this little packet of like three peanut butter cups that I actually I took because I was kind of like, the whole situation, it just seemed like he really just genuinely wanted to give it to me. He said he didn't even like peanut butter anyways. And so I just took it almost as, I felt like if I rejected it, it would have felt worse for him in a way, if that makes sense. Just to accept what someone wants to give you can sometimes be better than, choosing to just try to be modest and not accept it. I've had to learn that lesson the hard way in life. But anyways, so I see James, and I kind of I walked around. This was before we left, and I walked around his car and kind of like made it very clear that I saw him and I acknowledged him and I waved and smiled, and then he kind of rolled his window down, and he was amazing. Like he's I don't know what age, but maybe like 60s. I don't know. What would you say? How old would you say James was? 60s. It's probably hard to say. Like he looked like he might have been a smoker as well, and that can kind of age you a bit, I think. But he had this long, like kind of down to here, like straight white golden hair, and he had that sort of like sunned face, like you probably would if you were in Florida every day, and just a smile, and yeah, I don't know. It was cool. I gave him some stuff. We went on our way. Actually, right before we left, Lisa gave him some more of we had made these like chocolate nut peanut treats before we left, and we made so many of them, and we had already eaten way too many of them, so we just gave him the rest of them. We're like, here dude, just like, take whatever you need, kind of thing. And then we went and had fun at Siesta and came back, and he was there again. So we had like at least 3 or 4 days / nights of interacting with James, and each time it was a little bit more involved. And there was one time when we were just Lisa and I were standing outside his van, just asking him questions and listening to him talk for like 45 minutes before we went to the beach again. But he was just that kind of guy who again, kind of like Lisa showed me, he was just another sort of symbol of the idea that you don't have to have that much to make life to make something out of life, and that it really is just about taking it kind of as it comes to you, just one step at a time, and the journey is the destination, kind of thing. So yeah, I don't know, I guess James just kind of, that particular James really embodied that. We had never planned on naming the channel Looking for James. We had just sort of once we got back, we were telling some friends of ours about him, and of course about everything else in the trip, and one of them suggested, like, why not call why not name your channel Looking for James. We were just kind of throwing out the idea of a YouTube channel because I was like, oh yeah, I can start like editing some videos and putting them out, and it was mostly just in case our family and friends wanted to hang out and come along for the ride, live vicariously through our adventures. And that's kind of what it still is, really. I mean, you guys are all just friends, and friends are just the family you choose. So we're all just friends and family here. But that's the long and short of Looking for James. Why Monkey Madness? There's your answer. 2 frat boys. Yeah, 2 frat boys was a good video. That was just a spur of the moment sort of. I just went and visited Kid Laser at his university, which was something that we didn't get to do that often. But when we did, clearly we made the most out of it. We're just like, yeah, let's make a video. Let's let's go. Oh, you got a John Elway poster over here. Let's go talk about that. And it was mostly how we shot that video was we just went around and did we just like shot like random things in his apartment, which if you've watched any of his other videos, like you've seen the ins and outs of that apartment entirely. But we would just go and just be like, oh yeah, let's shoot this looks cool, or we were just kind of messing around, hanging out, and then we pieced it all together, put some words behind it. I sang backup vocals for him, and then you had 2 frat boys. Touching butts is nice. I do still talk to Kid Laser. He's a great guy. He has a podcast. It's called Repeat Weekly with 3 R's. You should check it out. Do you like to write, or are you sticking to podcasting as your form of documentation? I actually write a lot. I've started to type more recently just because I guess I've been more on like the laptop and YouTube and all that stuff. But yes, I have like tons of downstairs. I have like tons of books. I doodle and write, just wax poetically to myself, because sometimes I mean, all of times I would definitely be a strong proponent of journaling of some sort, and whether or not you want to throw like these weird stigmas and taboo words like diary or whatever on it. I think it's important to I just think it's important to think through deeply the choices and the thoughts that you're thinking, the choices that you're making, which lead to, or the thoughts that you're thinking, which lead to the choices that you make. And so for me, in order to best do that, is to just either, like, if Lisa wants to talk, we can kind of, I guess that's a benefit of having somebody to talk. I feel very, very like the most comfortable, like I said before, around Lisa than with any other human out there. So we can really just talk as if we were the same person, just trying to communicate our inner dialogue and trying to sort it out, except for I get the benefit of having a partner like that to be able to bounce it off of, and then she can be more objectional about it and less biased about certain situations than I am, and kind of give me feedback in that way. But basically what I'm trying to say is, with journaling, you're having a conversation with yourself because you're trying to fully articulate these thoughts, because you're trying to put them into sentences, or maybe you don't like to journal in sentences, but I still like, how I like to do it is I try to maintain a conversation, and it doesn't have to be a formal conversation or even with the right words, but it has to have a sort of continuation. Because if I'm journaling about, let's say, a problem that I'm facing, I'll start at the beginning of the problem, and then through journaling, I will, because normally I'll have the problem and then I'll have this like, proposed solution or sort of anxiety-ridden moment that I'm like tensing and freaking out about. But this sort of gap in between is never really like addressed that much. It's just kind of like problem, jump to this, problem, jump to this. And so when you journal, for me, when I'm trying to do this dialogue, it helps me connect the dots. And then once I connect the dots, it just kind of seems like just one big thing, and it almost becomes smaller after you dissect it into all of its little parts, and then it makes long story short, journaling makes me feel like I'm more prepared for the problems that surface in my life. And it also and that's, I guess, just maybe one aspect of it, because there are so many great ideas and things that I've been able to kind of extract things from when I'm just like, if something hops into my mind, and I'll just jot it down real quick. Like, I used to always carry a little tiny notebook and a pencil around, and I would because I would have just like these little random things, and I'd be like, oh, this was my Twitter, really. Like, I would just like tweet to myself like, ooh, this is interesting. Come back and come back to that later, kind of thing. So yeah, I'm definitely a big journaler, I would say. I like to write. It was funny. I had a writing class in college, and it was just one of those things like that sticks out in your mind over time. But one of my professors, or my professor for writing, he was like, we would go into his office. We'd have like these private one-on-one sort of analysis of your paper, and you would go like during his office hours and stuff. And one of the last times I went, he looked at me and he said something along the lines of, he like was asking me what my career, like what I was planning to do with my career. And basically he was like trying to convince me to consider writing. Like, he's like, have you ever considered writing? Have you ever considered writing? But he always made it so obscure like that I was just like, back then when I was in that whole college mode, it was like, I'm going to college so that I can make more money. Like, that's what I'm trying to do with college. Right. Like, that was my dialogue in my head. So when he was saying, I mean, I originally went to college to be an accountant. So there you go. Because I liked math. I don't know. So I am like being told by this writing professor, which I did enjoy. I enjoyed the class. The assignments they came easy to me, because it was just like, I can write just like I can talk. I can just kind of like continue a sort of thing that's not really a continuation of any one thing, because it just keeps zigzagging, but that's just how my brain works. So he's telling me, you should be a writer. And I instantly disregarded it like almost entirely. I was like, no, I don't want to just eat little breadcrumbs every night and write all my papers by candlelight, because I can't afford electricity. But maybe the solution was just to get solar panels, because that's definitely what I did for the van. Starting to rain, y'all. Should we grab the dogs? What? Okay. Dang, I'm so spoiled when I stream. Don't have to do anything. Not that I normally have to do anything, but okay. So where are we going now? I think there were some questions here. Love you too, Mr. Faithful. Bubble. Sounds like Sweden. Yeah. But like I said, man, it's what you make it. You can find beauty in anything. You just got to look hard enough. Okay, here we go. Do you like to write? Sexy hair, thanks. Down to your neck. Hey, man. Oh, didn't you read something? This might be actually kind of loud now. I'm not sure what picks up on this microphone or not, but I know that it can be very sensitive sometimes. Didn't you read a while ago something about like Native American theory with like hair length, and how like they said that you like weren't supposed to cut your hair, and there was like weird things that you're supposed to do in preparation, like at nighttime, like put it up in a certain way and stuff like that?
I mean, I don't know if this is true, but like the long of it was that they were pulling Native American recruits like as kind of like secret spies in the army or whatever. I use military, whatever. And they noticed that when they forced them all to get the traditional buzz cut, like they weren't doing as well as, you know, they were before. So it was kind of like their hair was helping them.
Yeah.
You should look up the article because I don't know.
Interesting.
But is that why you keep your hair long?
No, but it's something that I've thought of. It's just an interesting sort of like theory. It's especially fun to spout out when you have long hair. You can just espouse this sort of thing where it's like, oh yes, and also long head hair is actually just like sensors for life, and the longer your sensors for life are, the more you can live your life. So really, if you don't have long hair, you're just not living your life to the fullest extent. So you can do weird things like that, but there was something there.
You should do your own research.
Why are girls always asking everyone for a hairband? I mean, they probably lose them too. It's probably not uncommon, but yeah, and yeah, they do break. What do I do for work now? I like I said earlier, Lisa and I worked at, you know, these sort of like destination jobs, you could say, like what you do when you go into college and you're like, I want this job. Like we had those jobs, and you know, we were just it didn't seem like what it was all cracked up to be. So we kept those jobs for a while to save up some money and also figure out what we wanted to do, because we knew we didn't want to do that, but we just had to have some sort of alternative, and we didn't know what that was. So we thought long and hard about that. And then once we figured out, you know, the possibility of doing something like this with the van, that's when we set a deadline, and then we quit. We quit our jobs with a little bit of cushion, and we are just going to go out and create the lives that we want, instead of you know, working for somebody else and being restricted in that manner. Because I think that what I enjoy in life doesn't coincide with something like that. I'm more of a maker than a manager, you could say. So I'm not saying that like I'm trying to do YouTube as a career or anything like that, but I am willing to document that process, obviously, because I'm just more geared towards doing the things that I enjoy now over the things that might be less enjoyable but make me more money in the long run, because money is not as important to me as it used to be. I really don't believe that it can buy happiness, and I don't think happiness is a thing to be like fought after or tried to be obtained in any sort of way other than just as a byproduct of living a meaningful life. So that's what I'm trying to do, and I didn't think that I could do that by being constrained to a 9-to-5 job, because we definitely couldn't be going and picking up our van and leaving in the next couple days with all that still being a thing. So it took us a couple years, all things considered, through like the ideation stage and like actually procuring a van and then tearing it all apart and stripping it down and getting rid of all the rust and building it all, you know, back together, and then getting this whole solar energy thing put in. So it's been a big process. So you could say that maybe that's been my job. And that's what I've been working on. But I guess it just depends on how you define a job. And I'm assuming that the way that you're wording it is probably like, you know, something that you clock in for and get a steady paycheck for. And right now that is not something that I have. And I have to say, although there is still a lot of work, like I'm not trying to make it seem like, you know, I put a lot of work into editing all those videos. I'm really using those as all the videos and things that I'm creating right now are kind of a grounds for experimentation and seeing what's possible and seeing what I can do and how I can monetize my creativity, because I think that that's one of the hardest things for creators is you have this mindset that drives you to do these things, and a lot of people enjoy them. So you're like you're producing value in that way. Like I do feel like I am producing something of value, but it's just so hard to monetize your creations, you know, appropriately. Like I don't really know how to do that. Even when I used to stream on Twitch, like there was just this little button that said run an ad, like run a 30-second ad, and you could just click it, and anytime you clicked it, you would run an ad. And I just never felt good about doing that. And I don't know, maybe just a little ad doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things, and if it helps me out, but I don't know. It didn't seem like the right way. So I'm just trying to find the right way to be able to monetize my creativity so that I can have a sustainable lifestyle sort of business plan. And that's I don't know how that's going to happen, but I don't know that anybody. If there are books written about it, it's not the specific thing that I need to do. Everyone has their own sort of way that they need to go about it. And if you have a goal like this, then I think you need to kind of write your own rules, so to speak. So we're just very much throwing ourselves to the wind and, being assured with our preparedness, and then just waiting for the opportunity. I guess is kind of the state that I'm in right now. So it's not like, I don't have a steady income right now. Like I don't have a reliable source of income aside from Patreon, which is awesome. So yeah, there is a sort of like limbo sort of feeling, but at the same time, I think that the past year or so of my life has been the best year of my life. So I'm looking forward to continuing that. Yeah. Oh, sorry guys. Maybe a blog. Can we expect a book soon? Hold on, I'm just trying not to miss anything. So let me scroll up. Okay. Did you convert to Islam? No, I did not. I was never prescribed to any organized religion, but I believe in the impact and the power that religions can have. But I think they're all kind of basically trying to say the same thing, and that we should focus on extracting that meaning instead of choosing which side we want to be on. Word language, LOL. All right. You okay, Jake? A little bark in there? Hmm? Oh, that's just my crotch. To show you Jake. Okay. You should make a podcast about searching for James and going in depth about why this encounter inspired all of this. Yeah, I would definitely be willing to expound on it in a podcast. It's also it's cool now because we set out on our journey. I just keep calling it that because it's an easy way to. When we went to Florida on December 31st, and we were shooting all that video and everything, we didn't know what we were going to make it. Like, we didn't know what was going to come of any of it. We were just like, oh yeah, I mean, I have this camera and I really like shooting video, and I'm thinking, well, Lisa's already shown me that I can just kind of like, she's shown me that I can pick up a guitar when I had never played a guitar before, and I can start longboarding when I had never longboarded before. At the ripe age of 26 or however old I was when I started that. So if that's a possibility, then also things that I've done in the past, I can continue to do those and strengthen those. I guess there was a mindset that I fell into that I never, that I kind of just organically developed as a child, that was just like, if I don't have natural ability for something, then I should not even pursue it, because I'm going to be worthless at it. And the whole idea of, if you practice anything that you put time into and practice, you will become better at if you really truly pay attention and practice. If I knew that to be as true as I know it to be now, my life would have been completely different growing up, I think, at least as far as like the opportunities that I would have been able to perceive in my life. But I don't really know what I was going on about there. Sometimes I just lose my thought. Not an unusual thing. Can I request a song for you to sing? Because if I saw that mic, all I would do is sing. I'm not much of a singer, although I'm working on it a little bit. Like I said, you practice anything, but I'm in a very early stage of tuning this thing. Also, I spent such a long time not doing anything with it that I think I'm fighting some muscle atrophy as well. But maybe Lisa can come up here and sing. What would be the song that you would request? Just out of curiosity, Mark. Still got your Cookie Monster t-shirt? I think we got rid of that not too long ago, actually. Donated it. Hopefully it went to a good home. I almost said cooking for James. The Cookie Monster shirt. What was your last COD you played? That's a good question. Dude. Okay, so there was one that I remember seeing that had like loot crates involved, and I know I didn't play that one. So whatever one first introduced the loot crate one might have been the first one I missed, but I want to say that the one before that even I didn't play. Although I can't be sure. Like, I'm not even sure with the names, so I hope you can help me out. I've been very much detached from that whole world. And it's not a negative, like it's not like a resentful sort of detachment. I think that sometimes when I tell people that I don't play Call of Duty anymore, they're like, just like when they see that I don't post a video with Kid Laser for a while, they just assume that the worst has happened, which again is that whole like negativity bias that we all have built into us. But we're, me and Call of Duty, we're fine. We left on good terms. I'm very appreciative still to Call of Duty for all of the opportunities that it gave me. But I just, I didn't want to be stuck in that same stage of my life forever. So I just kind of decided to grow instead of, I don't know. It's really weird. Like, I'm talking in very broad terms now, and I don't want it to come across the wrong way. So I guess I'm just saying, like, I don't think that Call of Duty is a bad option for anybody out there, but just to know that there are other options once you're ready to move on. Because no reason. I can't say because. If I start saying because, I'll just never stop talking. Because I think I have solutions and reasons behind everything. I was looking through my brother's closet last week and found my Tasmo Time t-shirt. Somehow after gaining 30 pounds, it still fits, but very tight. Well, that's the only way I used to wear my t-shirts, was very tight. Isn't that right, Lisa?
Yep. Baby Gap.
He used to say I bought my clothes at Baby Gap in high school. She also threw a water ball at my balls, so she was a pretty big bully back in the day. No, not at all. Any chance of putting your podcast on iTunes, or is it Patreon only? So right now it's just on Patreon. Although there are some clips on Patreon, or there will be some. There's only one podcast out right now, and only one clip from that podcast. But the clip is available for everyone to listen to. It's like, a mini version of the podcast, you could say. But right now we're doing it exclusively on Patreon. And if I said this earlier in the show, but if there ever comes to a point where we feel like we've gotten to the production quality and value that we would want, and we would feel comfortably being able to release on something like our YouTube channel, or even like a podcast app, then we would pursue that. But I know just in talking to Kid Laser, that getting the whole podcast thing going, like, I never was in charge of doing any of the podcast things aside from uploading it to YouTube. So I know there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes there, and I just don't know how sustainable that can be with our lifestyle going on the road. Like, I'm still like kind of weary about being able to upload videos and stuff. If we're, out in the middle of nowhere, I've been working on scheduling videos more and trying to wrap my head around that whole concept a bit more too. So we'll be more equipped for when we go out on the road. But so right now it's gonna stay on Patreon, but anybody who supports us on Patreon has access to the podcast. So for just, if you just buy us one peanut butter and jelly sandwich every month, then you can listen to all of our stories together. And Lisa has a good way of reeling me back in, so we tend to talk about more things instead of just all this dead air. Are you going to be doing these live streams on a regular basis, or every once in a while? Dang, I like all these questions. They're really informative to maybe other people who might have them. So the live stream is just today was a test. I didn't know how this would go. We're running into some connection issues, but I think that might be just because we were too far away from the router. So that's seems to be solved now. But I was just seeing if potentially, like I said, we're about to lead a much more mobile lifestyle. Like this whole walls and everything will not be here. It will more just be like this. So I'm not sure how much connection we'll be able to have. I've been thinking possibly as like a supplement to this. I've been thinking about just doing. We have our Instagram account looking for James. Looking for. Is it a 4? Is it a number 4 for the Instagram? Looking for James on Instagram, and we've tried some live streaming there. We tried one live stream. Brody's wagging his tail, and it's making noise on the floor. Tat tat tat. He's got the tail of steel. So yeah, we might be able to stream from Instagram if we can do it on like cell data or something. I don't know. We have like an iPhone 3, so I don't know if it'll be able to work. But so yes, I can't promise anything, but I can only promise that I now am more comfortable with streaming on YouTube, at least when it comes to just the webcam. I downloaded OBS and I was going to try and stream like some Hearthstone or like some like casual sort of video game on here as well, but I don't know how the computer will handle it. So I'm definitely doing like sort of more like a gradual sort of approach to it. Okay. Oh yeah, a blog. Yeah, maybe I'll do some kind of a blog. Yeah, be weird. Maybe I'll just take pictures of some journal entries and share them with you guys. What's up, Matt? Washington's Modern Warfare 2. Dang, man. Modern Warfare 2. What a great game. I remember when that first came out. I was just running around with a silenced M4 like, this is great. This is amazing. I love this game. It's like one of the first things you unlocked. But, you know, when it's the new games are the best, right? Because it's a new map. Nobody knows where to go hide. Everyone's figuring things out. So really, you're rewarded for your ability to adapt the quickest. And I felt like I had an advantage, not only because it wasn't even maybe my ability to adapt the quickest, but just because I was on it. Like as soon as it came out, all right, now I'm just playing this for the foreseeable future. I'll sleep in a couple days, I guess. And that makes it like, you know, you get an inherent advantage by doing that. And it was fun to free for all that way, I would say. Oh, dang, you started, see, one of the big inspirations I had to start my channel. Thank you, Matt. Tell Frosty that, because he was making fun of me about fanboying over Only Use Me Blade so much. But he was the biggest reason that I started my channel. So I'm happy to return the favor. Oh no, my satellite. Bye, Matt. His satellite internet is dying. Yeah, love Kid Laser. Still talk to him. Absolutely, Sauce. I'm happy to give you some answers. Have you thought of exploring northern parts of Canada? Heck yeah. Also going up to Alaska. But with the van, you know, we want to just make sure it's good. So we just took it. It was a few days ago. When was that? It was last week, like last Thursday or Wednesday, maybe last Wednesday. Almost a week ago, we took it to the mechanic to get the brakes checked out because we had it in a like shed, like a big tall shed for a while when it was when the weather was colder and rainy and all that stuff, because her dad was helping us put all the solar in. So we had it in a building, and then once we took it out, the brakes were kind of like, you know, they weren't working so well. So we wanted to get those checked out, and it turns out we need new brakes and new rotors. And also, when they were in the process of doing all that, they noticed a coolant leak. So when they checked that, they they were testing our radiator, and the radiator blew up, so we needed a new radiator. And but Lisa just got a call from them today, and they said that the van is done ahead of schedule. It was supposed to be done tomorrow, so that's a plus. And they also found a problem with the exhaust, but they fixed it for free because they felt bad. They felt bad for us, and they're really pulling for us. We've taken our van in there a couple times, and actually before we even bought the van, because the guy who owns this is a friend of the family. Before we even bought the van, we went in and asked him if he could help us procure a van. So he was looking for a van for us as well, although we didn't end up getting one from him. But so yeah, the van is in a sort of like unstable state, maybe you could say. I'm just trying to fully vet it out before we make any major voyage, like up through the Alaskan, Canadian wilderness. But definitely want to get up to Canada. Our passports are still valid too, so who knows? Like we could be going to Canada. We're kind of planning on going up towards Maine, so who knows if we'll cross the border. But let me see here. Dang, I start to scroll down just a little bit, and then it refreshes, so it bumps me up. Sorry, guys. I just don't want to glance over anybody's question if they take the time to type it out. Twitch has a new affiliate program that helps creators monetize. That's sweet. I think that's really it's the direction that the future's kind of heading with the whole it kind of started with Kickstarter, really, I guess, for me, as far as I was aware of it. The whole like crowdfunding and crowdsourcing, and then also Patreon, which is what we have the sort of support outlet that we have chosen. And it's also been really cool because it's not only, is it a way to support us financially and for creators to have this sort of living wage, but it's also allowed us to, because we put our music out there, that's where we put our music before we released it to YouTube, and that's where we put like most of our music out, just exclusively to Patreon. But because we had never really played for anybody else, and we didn't think we were that anybody would really enjoy hearing what we had to do, because we still had a long ways to go, and we like I said, we only started playing and sort of doing all this music stuff just a couple years ago. So it's, again, still in the developmental sort of stage, even more so than the podcast is. And because at least I have experience talking and stuff, so the podcast isn't too new for me, but the music thing is definitely. So it's been a way to support not only us financially, but also like psychologically, because being able to put out our music like that on Patreon and get such a warm welcome back was one of the main reasons that we decided that we should probably post some selections to YouTube as well. So that's been really cool. I think the affiliate program for Twitch is really awesome. I just think that the more ways that we can help people who are producing value be compensated for that value, so they can just continue to live their life and produce that value, I think that that's probably a good direction to go. Yeah. Lisa and I met in middle school. If you actually want to hear the whole story, you can probably rewind. I answered it kind of earlier back, but we went in middle school and high school together. Went to different universities for college, and then after we had kind of stepped into the work world a bit, started hanging out again, and then just reconnected and became remembered that we were best friends, I guess you could say. Yeah, and as far as Twitch goes, like I don't have any confidence in my ability to be able to stream to Twitch anytime soon. I gave my big gaming laptop and all of that stuff to my brother-in-law and my sister, because it came with the whole VR setup that I had, and they really enjoyed the VR. So I gave all that stuff to them. Like, I am just working on this. My laptop is the only computing power that I have. So that's kind of why I tested this out, because also, like, as far as video games, I have a PlayStation 4 down in the basement, but it's just unplugged gathering dust in the corner with Diablo 3 in its disc slot. So there's you know, it's a different story for me, kind of. That's why I started phasing everybody out of it slowly in my YouTube channel by starting with some Call of Duty videos. It was funny, the first couple videos that I made since I've been back, What's Up My Nuggets, and you all are probably secretly Stoop Kids or Stoop Children or whatever I decided to stupidly name that video. I had Call of Duty gameplay up, and I was going to do this thing where between the first video and the second video, I had bumped the opacity down by 10%, which, if you don't know what that means, I basically made the video a little bit more transparent to the black background in the back. And so I basically made it a little bit darker and harder to see. And I was going to do this thing where I was just going to keep making videos, and each video I was going to bump down the opacity by 10% until it was just a complete black screen. But I didn't have enough mental fortitude to continue that task out. I just had to start making, you know, videos that I wanted to make sooner, I guess. Later, Math. It was good talking to you, man. If you haven't left already, it's so hard when people say goodbye and you're like 10 minutes away in the chat. Drop a nuke. Moab, you know? I'll never forget the feeling when I got that first kill streakless nuke with my riot shield. Like, I had tried so many times. As the riot shield guy, you're just like queuing up for the match, just holding your riot shield, like, maybe this will be the day. Maybe this will be the day. And then some guy with commando just comes around over top of you and knifes just the top of your head, and that's that. Oh man. Podcast about conspiracy theories. There you go, Paulina. That's what I'm talking about. We'll have to do that. Yeah, the flat earth theory. That's an interesting one, huh? Seemingly idiotic, but there's some logic going on. But I always fall on any of these sort of things. I always fall in the camp of anything could be possible, but I don't know. I don't know anything. It's just fun to theorize. Also, conspiracy theories. What's up with the name conspiracy? It's kind of weird, huh? I have a clip recorded of you dedicating a COD game to me on stream. It was your last COD game for the night, and I said you'll win it, so you dedicated to me and told me you love me. I do love you, man. I hope I did win it. That would suck if I didn't. If I didn't, I'm sure I stayed around until I won. Unless I was really tired or something. Oh, shoot. You can totally eat a PB&J with me, Gerardo. Am I pronouncing your name right? I'll answer that. I'll get the answer to that question in about 20 minutes when I make my way down there. But I'll look forward to it. Freaking loved Blade. Me too. Wonder if he's still doing stuff. When did you realize you changed as a person, and how did that change your perception of life? I'm gonna get some water. Oh man, was there a day? I'll give you the day and time that I changed as a person. No, there wasn't really a day and a time, but I would say there was a noticeable shift in my awareness as far as what I was choosing to take responsibility for in my life. And there were a lot of things that, again, subconsciously, so like if I was thinking about them, it was for a very brief moment, and most of the time I wasn't even thinking about them at all. And it was just this sort of automated process that was going on in my brain. But there were a lot of these things that I was either told by other people or clinged to while I was growing up that I just held as objective fact in my head. And you know, whether that be simple things like talking about religion, like you know, you grow up in Ohio, and You know who Jesus is. You don't really know of Buddha, or you don't know of Muhammad or any of these other sort of like the prophet symbols. Like you're not aware of any of those. So you start to maybe take it like super, super literally. And then you have this whole like constructed story that okay, sure, it makes sense to like your little kid brain. But then like the more you grow up, the more you're like, that just doesn't seem literally like it could be true. Like there seems like there's something there. So you like start trying to poke holes in it, just like naturally, I guess, but like you feel bad about it. And obviously this is just one example, but there's certain things like this where you accept them as fact, and then, and maybe this is all just part of growing up, but you slowly come to the realization that maybe these things that you thought were 100% true weren't true, and maybe some things that you thought were you and were a part of you aren't really a part of you, and you adopted them when you needed them because you didn't know what else to do, or you were frightened, or you wanted social acceptance, or whatever it was. But there are these certain things that we accrue, that I like to look at as deadwood, really, because it just kind of like it just sits on us. And it's something that we have to carry around, but it doesn't really help us in any way. And it's actually things that we just have to then take into account anytime we try to like speak the truth, because we have to go through all these things that we've been told are true. And so I guess for me, there was a point where enough of those things were breaking away where I decided, okay, I don't want to be told what's true anymore. I just want to try and discover what's true for me. And that can be hard because it requires you to burn off all the dead wood, which can be painful, because then you feel like way less of a person. You feel like you don't have as many views and opinions about things as you should. But I guess for me, that was the shift that I needed to be like, okay, now let me get rid of all of these preconceived notions that I have about the nature and reality of life, and then let me base it purely off of how I see things and how I'm able to, like, just based off of the best things that I know right now. It's really just the whole idea behind science. It's just like science just wants to not be fooled by any sort of like untrue fact, I guess you could say. Untrue theory proposed this fact, and now I'm really out of my element, so I'm going to sound like a complete idiot. But to always change your mind in the light of evidence is something that I think is at the one of the cornerstones of science. Is just like and that's kind of what I've adopted, is that if something makes more sense to me than what I initially thought, then I will let that part of me die, which again is very painful, but the more you do it, the easier it can be. And I'm going to adopt, or at least adapt, some like new things into my life more frequently, instead of trying to shell up into this sort of like, it bothers me when as people age, they feel like they have figured more out, and that they become more certain about the way that life is. Because as far as I've seen it, the longer that I've been around, and the more that I've aged, and the more I've grown, the less I understand of life and what's going on. So I guess just being open to the possibility that I might not know anything about anything, and being willing to embrace that, and be willing to embrace the fact that failure of your first attempt, and just knowing that the first draft of everything is shit, like Ernest Hemingway said, to bring it back to the whole writing thing. But just being willing to kind of put myself out there, see what happens, and then just know that I'm a human just like everybody else, trying to navigate my way as best as I can through the world. It's just the best way I've found to do that is to not take what anybody else says for an absolute truth, without rectifying it against my own core beliefs that I've now established, from myself, or at least from myself being the collection of experiences that I've had. So it allows me to speak more freely, because I'm literally just speaking what I'm thinking, because I've come to terms with the truths inside my mind, so that I'm oriented in a way that I can talk, and I don't have to worry about saying the wrong thing or whatever, because it's not wrong or right. It's just what I believe at the time, and I'm open to other people's interpretations and opinions of it, because they might know something that I don't know. God, have you ever done blocaine? No, I have not. I'm assuming you're talking about cocaine, but I just read that after I went on that long tangent, and I feel like I'd be like more hyped up if I was. Maybe I'd talk in even less distinguishable sentences. uh, yeah, that's what all the mechanics say. Yeah, I know. There's that sort of weird thing about mechanics where you're like, I hope you're not taking advantage of me, man. No one likes to be taken advantage of, but they're friends of the family, and they're also fixing our exhaust for free. But maybe that's just what all the mechanics say too, huh? Happy to see you back. Is there anything in particular you're hoping to experience on the trip? Yeah, I am not. No, I wouldn't say anything in particular. But the general. I know the general sort of idea that we're trying to pursue, and I think that that's kind of if you're familiar with looking for James in general and the idea behind it, like we talked about earlier, then you'll kind of understand that a bit more. But to give you a just sort of take on it, when we did our pilot trip down to Florida, we only had one destination in mind, Ocala National Forest, which is actually day 3 of the journey, and it's notably the shortest video, at least as far as like the footage that we had of that day, because we actually ended up going there and getting stuck. We got the van stuck. So the idea behind that, I guess, being that the one thing that we had planned out for the trip, and the one thing that we had set that sort of expectation for on the for the trip, was in the end the thing that ended up not panning out at all. And so I guess what we're trying to do is not set any expectations for the trip aside from just going and just kind of rolling with the punches, you could say. Whatever the day brings, that's what we're doing. If you live in a van, it can be very unpredictable. The van could break down, the weather could be bad, a multitude of things could potentially arise as obstacles to your day. And in order to be able to address those as best we can, I think we just kind of leave it open-ended. And I mean, you've seen so far what that led to with the first journey. We literally would just open up the map on Lisa's phone and be like, all right, where are parks close by? And we would put that into Google Maps and then just see where the parks were and just kind of go explore. And if not all of them were like super winners or anything, like some of them we just turned around instantly because it costs like $15 to get into some janky little park or something like that. But every once in a while we found a Siesta Beach where we stayed for like 5 or 6 days, and it was fantastic. So, but I think that Siesta Beach is that much more fantastic when you don't have the expectation of finding something like it, when you just stumble upon it, and when you just stumble upon naturally beautiful things in life, they're that much more meaningful to you, I think. And so that's just kind of how we're that's our plan for the trip, is to just casually stumble upon beautiful things and be able to show it now to you guys, especially with this drone that we just got, that we just were able to have loaned to us from a family friend. I'm very thankful to be able to use the drone capabilities when we head up to Maine or wherever we end up. Yeah. How is Pika doing? Still dominating claw games. No, Pika doesn't do claw games anymore. Although we were still at we were just at his place the other day. Yeah, he's doing well. He's doing real well. He's like a brother to me. What inspired the beard? Well, I really don't like shaving, and it's only itchy when it's growing out, and then you just get used to it. I want it for sure. Sweet. Nice. That's awesome. Trump equals Jesus. Interesting theory. We'll address that in the podcast on conspiracy theories. uh, Interesting. I do love you, little kittens. Was going to college worth it for me? Another question that I'm going to speak way too broadly on, but if I had to give you a yes or no answer, I would probably say no. Based off of me and, you know, what I was looking for in it and what I was bringing into it. So I didn't fully know what I wanted, I guess. And I was I was only willing to commit to putting my full effort into things that interested me. So when you have to take your general electives in the beginning of college and it just seems like a repeat of high school, that I was not a fan of that. But I kind of the classes that I took that even did interest me were basically they were just kind of like going over things that I had already discovered through tinkering with things on my own. Like, you know, I took a lot of design classes and a lot of videography classes and a lot of photography classes, but all these things, like, I guess I am appreciative for taking a photography class that made me buy a very nice camera, because I don't know if I would have done that otherwise, but I feel like I would have done it otherwise. And I don't know that I would have been able to be as proficient with, you know, the Adobe suite, all the design tools and everything, as I was after college. But I felt like every single activity that we went into was something that I had already sort of navigated through before. And not every single one, of course, but most of the stuff, it almost seemed like reiteration, like a review, so to speak. And it also seemed to me, again, and I had this kind of issue in high school, so maybe if you're not like this in high school, then it'll be different for you. And obviously many things about college will be different for you than they are for me, so I don't want to speak too broadly here. But in high school, I felt myself a lot of the times understanding concepts and ideas very quickly, and then being constrained by my fellow classmates' ability to continue the content. As far as, like, I felt like I could move a lot faster than the way that things were working and the way that things were moving. So I'd get bored very easily. And I experienced a lot of that in college as well, and which led me to probably not pay attention as much. I was also doing YouTube. Like, I started YouTube pretty much in college. So I had all that going on. But all in all, I think that, like, because if college was as meaningful as YouTube was for me, I would have probably quit YouTube. Like, that's how much I was enjoying YouTube versus how much I was enjoying college. And when I say how much I was enjoying college, it's like, that's one word. Like, I guess I'm talking about the coursework when I talk about college. I'm talking about the amount of coursework and education that I got versus, like, that led to the degree, the piece of paper that I got. Do I think that all of that held the amount of value that I'm now having to slowly pay back? No, I don't think it did. But there's an experience there that I wouldn't have had without it. So there's, you know, probably a lot of things that happened on my YouTube channel happened like were impacted by the fact that I was in college. That was the first time I had a fast internet connection ever, because my parents' house had no fast internet connection. So it allowed me in a lot of ways to be able to do YouTube at least 9 months out of the year, until I had to go back to my parents' house and not have any internet connection again. But so yeah, there's college is such a big thing. It's like, I look at college as, oh, that like 4.5 year span of my life that I was just, you know, that I met so many awesome people and had so many awesome experiences. But it was all umbrellaed under this sort of envelope of college. But to just separate out the actual degree part and the actual education part, that was definitely not the highlight of college for me. And that definitely doesn't, it seems like when I'm paying back college, I'm paying back just the overall experience of college, because that's what makes college seem worth it to me, not analyzing it based off of the coursework and the amount of knowledge that I obtained from that. Because I don't know, I'm just a hands-on kind of learner, I guess. And again, that's an oversimplified way of summing it up, but I'll just leave it at that. Do you miss any of your old YouTube days? There's this one day in particular on YouTube that was really good, and I missed that day, but no, not really. No, I miss the sense of community that I was kind of enveloped in, and I wish I took more of a vocalized part in it. I was just kind of like a silent observer to everything, because I didn't feel confident in really saying too much in that sort of public platform. But I liked the community of all the Call of Duty commentators and how there was, like the that one competition where you had like all the commentators going at each other, and with their commentaries, it was like a commentary off or whatever. There was one time where I was invited to be a team captain for this like esports thing that they were doing with just a bunch of YouTube commentators. The only catch was it was for Xbox and I played PS4, or PS3, I guess, at the time. So this was back when I was making some money on YouTube, so I was just like, oh, I'll just buy an Xbox and buy the Call of Duty game that I already have on PS3 and buy a subscription to Xbox Live, just so I don't have to let my team down and I can be a team captain for this team. And I'll never forget when we were drafting the teams. I was at a Chipotle and I was using their wireless somehow for this Skype call, and we were going through the order before we started the stream to see what the picking order would be, like who got first pick and whatnot. I think there were like 8 different team captains. I don't know, there could have been like 16 or something crazy like that. I remember it being a very hectic conversation. But there was like this sort of talk beforehand that anybody, like whoever got first pick should pick Ken Burns. I don't know if anybody remembers Ken Burns, but he was kind of like, he made Call of Duty videos. He really tried. You could say that. He really tried. But his skill wasn't on par with a lot of the YouTubers who got their recognition through their skill in gaming. So, and I remember getting first pick. I got drawn as first pick, and I was like, I'm definitely picking Ken Burns. And nobody believed me, but I definitely picked Ken Burns. And then the rest of the team lineup kind of went like that. I think I used the Kipperus, like this little tiny like submachine gun during our game, and we were just kind of having fun. And I guess that's kind of those were the cool times where I was just like, oh dang, we're all like, isn't it crazy? I just wanted to have a conversation with them all, like just sit them in a big table and have a huge conversation. Like, isn't it crazy that we're able to do this, and people actually are aware of what we're doing and realize us because of this? It was just an unreal experience, and I think that was one of the peaks for me looking back on it. Was like, oh my gosh, craziness. Hipster Reese says, beautiful beard. Thanks, Hipster Reese. Did you make good money doing YouTube back then? Good is obviously like a subjective sort of experience. It wasn't anything astronomical by any means, but it allowed me to purchase things like an Xbox and stuff. It allowed me to have beer money on the weekends and stuff. And I saved up most of it. I just kind of kept putting it aside, and I should have just kept saving it up, but I ended up spending it on my Ducati. So there's that. And I got a motorcycle, and but no, I wasn't some millionaire off YouTube or anything like that. I just got a share. Machinima, also being partnered with Machinima at the time, they kind of they take a cut as well. So has your family supported your adventurous side, or have you felt pressure to stay in the social norm? You definitely always feel pressure to stay in the social norm. I mean, obviously your family will, like anybody's family, will support them in their endeavors that they try and undergo. But I think for most people, it's just such a foreign concept to them that it's hard for them to be supportive on something that they not only know nothing about, but also the things that they think that they know about make them scared of it. It's like, oh, you just want to hop in a van and travel the world. I want to support you, but what are you doing? Like, well, what are you really going to do? We got questions when we were out in the van on the beach. Some days people would just come up to us and be like, so this is cool. Like, this is real. Like, we would show them the van and be like, you know, like, isn't this great? And they're like, yeah. They're like, so what are you gonna do? What are you guys' plan after the van? And it always was just such like a jarring question to me, because I was like, oh, maybe you really don't understand then, because you know, if you did, then you would know that that's not even a thought that's crossed our minds. So I guess it's those kind of people are inevitable, because they're pulling from their own personal experiences, and not everybody's the same, so not everybody's going to understand what we're doing. But it's those people that are that way and still want to try to support you, that you feel this sort of tension to, like, yeah, this is great, but we're looking forward to the day that you come back and join the normal people. It's like, oh, okay, I can sense that, even though you're not saying that. But I think I'm able to withstand the pressure, you know, obviously more and more every day, the more I kind of concretize myself around like the truths that I've established. And concretize might not be the right word, because it's definitely a more fluid sort of thing. But yeah, the pressures are there. But as long as you are truly following what you believe to be true, then I don't know. It doesn't matter. Does it have a name? Does the beard have a name? I feel like I should give it a name for that one commentary that we did on Looking for James, where I tied my hair around my neck and made a beard extension. I think that was Funky Monkeys, but could be wrong. Commentary March Madness. That's what it was. Yeah, that was a fun time. That was one of the highlights. I remember when you first started YouTube and you'd go around every bigger YouTuber and copy paste, hey guys, I'm new to this. Please check out my channel. Yes, I did that on Machinima, actually. That was the only place I did it. And I did it, but I did it. Like, I went to Machinima that one night, and I remember it was in the dorm of college. And I was like, I was going on Machinima, and I was like, no, well, I was looking at all the videos, and I was just like, that's what I would do. I would go down to the computer lab every night, because they had way faster internet than my laptop would have, for whatever reason. And I would just go down and just watch Machinima videos all the time. So then I remember leaving a comment, just being like, I don't know, I guess just trying to look at it from my perspective and seeing, because I was watching a bunch of Call of Duty. I was watching every single Call of Duty video that Machinima was posting, because there weren't that many people doing it. And so, and it was never enough for me. It's like, think about how YouTube binging is now for you. You can go and watch whatever you want, however long you want. That didn't used to be the case for YouTube. Back in its infancy, you could see the potential of like this whole like personalized television that it is now. But back in the day, it was like that, but it was still getting its legs, and it was still growing in mass. And so I was watching these videos, and I was like, well, I still want to watch more videos. And so, you know, sometimes I would just go and like, you know, obviously work on a commentary of my own, or like watch one of my older videos. But then I was like trying to think of it from the perspective of other people. And if they're in these videos doing the same thing that I am, which is, you know, probably was a lot of people, then they're also hungry for more Call of Duty content. And I believed in what I was doing. And I was like, okay, well, you know, if you like this stuff, then maybe you'll like the stuff that I'm making. So yes, it was a shameless plug, as it were, but I did it on one video, and I was like, oh yeah, I could just do this on these videos that people are coming to Machinima for, because it's the same audience that I'm trying to gather. This was also, I think, before, you know, anybody was really was really doing this. And I remember doing it, because I say that I only did it for a short while, because I only did it for like a couple, I don't know, this is foggy memory. I want to say a couple days, but let's just say it was a couple weeks or like a month or something. Not like super extensively, but I put a lot of messages out there. And then, but I don't think it was as long as a month. I want to say it was like maybe less than a week, because I probably did it like 3 or 4 nights. And then I got banned by Machinima. Machinima actually banned me from their channel for like, you know, for spamming. Yeah, this was before they hired me though. And they banned me, and I was like, oh no, I love this channel. What did I do? I screwed this up. So I emailed them, and I apologized, and I was like, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't know this was before the word spam was ever used in the way that I was doing it. It was like I came across the definition of spam by actually spamming. Like it wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna go spam this channel. It wasn't under that sort of notion. But yeah, I don't know. It was crazy. That's okay. Ken plus junkyard equals top machine. Junkyard dog. Man, he was definitely on my team, right? Later, Paulina. Did you buy the lawnmower too? No, that lawnmower was not mine. Yeah, binging MisterFantasmo videos. See? If Cerise, maybe you wouldn't have found me if I hadn't told Machinima so heavily about myself. The Mario series with Jim was the best. Yeah. That's definitely one of the ones. I always feel weird watching my own videos, but the Kid Laser Super Phantasmo series is one that I can watch no problem, just because Jim's so great in it. Totally still friends with Jim. Although I talked a little bit more about that earlier in the podcast. But yeah, you guys, what? Yeah, that was over 2 hours of story time. We only got through a couple of scary stories today, but maybe next time we can get through some of those. If you guys want to check out more of what I'm doing right now with Lisa, you can go over to youtube.com/lookingforjames. That's like I said, this is a thing that's only possible for right now. We're getting ready to head out on the road, so I'm not sure if we'll be doing any live streams necessarily. But if you follow our YouTube channel or our Instagram for looking for James, then you can follow us that way. We're gonna try to share our adventure with you guys as much as possible. And I think the safest way for you to be certain that you won't miss any of that would just be to head on over to lookingforjames.com. That's not a website. Head on over to youtube.com/lookingforjames and subscribe. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll let you guys carry on with your Tuesday evening, and maybe we can. I think we're gonna go pick up the van soon. So, yeah. Who knows what the future holds, but thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you later. I love you all. Peace, nuggets.